What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. My name is Simon Villanos, and I'm joined here with Cody Stoffer. And today we're back at it with another interview. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, man, where you're from, who you play football for, and who you did play football for?
My name is Elijah Graham. I'm from Federal Way, Washington. I was actually born here in Littleton, Colorado, and then immediately moved to Federal Way, Washington. I play at Cherokee Trail High School, or played, and then I transferred in from Federal Way High School in July is when I moved here.
Gotcha. Well, welcome on to the show, man. We're happy to have you. So,
Thank
yeah, of course. So we're gonna jump into some, I guess, introduction type of questions here. We ask all of our guest lists, but what is your favorite sports experience or memory that you have that you actively participated in? So this is like a memory of you like playing a sport. It could be football or it could be any other sport. But what's your favorite sports memory here?
All right, I have a few I can run through really quick because it's hard to choose out of these three.
It's all good.
My first one was in Little League when I was 11. We won our Little League championship for our city. Then my second is Little League All Stars. When I was 12, we got third in state. And then my first was junior year when I had 3 picks in a single game. And then my friend Jatavius and Corey Quinton, when he did the request on, they had the winning touchdown connection. Actually, the 40-yarder he mentioned in his podcast when we were talking about him. So
Cool.
those are my favorite sports moments. Just sharing with friends, like just being there with my teammates, it was fun.
Yeah, for sure, man. No, I totally get that. That's really interesting. All right, then. Well, we assume you're some sort of sports fan here, So, what's your favorite,
Yeah.
I guess, sport viewing experience? This might be a game that you saw in person or something you saw on TV.
Favorite sports viewing? Probably the NFC Championship against the 49ers in 2013. I guess it would have been
Ooh.
2014, but it was 2013 regular season. When Richard Sherman tipped the ball to Malcolm Smith in the end zone. Or
Yeah.
the off against Green Bay in the NFC Championship.
Yeah,
Those
for
are
sure.
the best sports viewing moments I've had.
All right. I gotcha. All right, man. Are you a Seahawks fan by any chance?
Oh,
I
I'm a
gotta
huge
ask.
Seahawks fan. I'm a huge Seattle fan.
Cody's hurt over here because he a Broncos fan and he
Uh,
ain't never gonna forget that whooping y'all gave him in the Super Bowl. That's rent free in his
I'm
brain.
never gonna forget that either.
All right, man. Well, that's good. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass it off to Cody because he actually did your film breakdown. I still watched your film too as well, but I probably have to agree with a lot of the things Cody would say. So Cody, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Man, I feel like every other interview that Broncos Super Bowl comes up and I have to just grit my teeth. But no, I'll just play with you, man. But I appreciate you reaching out, by the way. And Elijah's been a huge supporter for the podcast. Sent in that Corey Quinn request as well as his own film. So I appreciate you reaching out to us. And I had a blast watching your film, especially your senior junior year combination film that is just like relentless highlights and interceptions. So kind of talking about your game a little bit. And I know that, every single player wants to be like their own player, like you are, Elijah Graham. But is there anyone at like the college or professional level who you've modeled your game after, like growing up or even now at the defensive back position?
Well, Richard Sherman, because I played corner like in sevens and stuff like till sophomore year. 7-on-7. I just started playing safety junior year, so I kind of had to pick that up, and I picked it up pretty well, I feel like. So Richard Sherman, because he liked to take the ball away, I thought that was really cool. His ball skills were good. You could talk a lot of trash when you pick the ball off. I never really did it unless someone says something to me. Like, I'm not normally someone that does that, but like I just liked his game, so that's probably someone I tried to model my game after. Being smart, he has a high IQ, so. I watch a lot of film on NFL players and the opposing teams I'm going to be playing. So his ball skills and IQ is probably something I tried to model after for my game.
Yeah, that's a great example. And, you don't go to Stanford being a slouch in the mental game at all. So, and he carried that over to NFL really well. And, living in Seattle, he's right there, and he just so happened to be the best in the league at the time. So that's a pretty easy one to model the game after for sure. So I guess you had a chance to listen to the episode and listen to your breakdown. What was kind of your reaction to my evaluation of your game? We talked about it a little bit on DMs, but, go ahead and share with everybody else kind of how you felt and what you liked, maybe what you even didn't like too much.
There was nothing that I didn't like, because like some of the things like being more aggressive in the run support, like coming up and being more aggressive is like something I've had to work on a lot, because like I didn't really play football. Like baseball is my primary sport, like as a younger kid, so I never played Little League. I never really got like the experience with tackling like that, so kind of had to really take practice tackling drills seriously. Like, and this year, because junior year, like I was not very good at tackling actually, but senior year I really worked on just making secure tackles so that I could work on being more aggressive. Like once I know how to secure a tackle and not get my ankles broken by a defender. So yeah, that's something on the film breakdown that I already knew, and like I'm good at taking criticism because I know I'm a good player, but like the criticism will help me get better, or not criticism, critiquing, I call it more. It was, but I liked how I got recognition for my pass defense, because that's something I really pride myself on. I work hard on being able to play man coverage and press and off coverage. I work on baiting zones, like the seam routes, because that's something that's pretty easy, I feel like, for me to do, because my makeup speed is pretty good, and they also have two high defenders in each third, the middle and the whichever sideline is on. And I can also get to the flats very well too, because I feel like I'm pretty fast, and like I'm just good at reading things that are happening.
Yeah, and I think that this is a great transition into my next question. You even addressed some things, but I was going to say, in your opinion, what are 2 to 3 qualities that separate you from other DBs, whether it's in Colorado or even in Washington too? Because you played in both areas, and you already kind of talked about your speed and IQ, and if you want to rehash those things or add on some new things, go for it.
Yeah, I think my IQ is definitely something that separates me, because I could see certain things coming before they happen, and I normally just trust my instinct and just go after that. Like, because I watch the plays on film, I watch film like all the way through, like whatever games they send, a couple of times for each game, just because it's interesting to me, just watching stuff like that. And then my ball skills is something that I feel like separate me. Like there's been some where like I haven't, like maybe gets hit out by a receiver, or I run to another DB, but I mean I still broke the pass up. I think you hit it pretty well. Same ball skills aren't just catching the ball necessarily, but being able to rip it out or punch it out. So I pride myself on that. Not allowing receivers to catch the ball. I feel like I have a lot of pretty low completion percentage through my career in high school. And then the third thing is being able to bait things, and just it's with the IQ really too, like bait things because I know what's coming before it like actually happens, and just seeing like being able to adjust like mid game if they're not coming in with what they've been doing games before, because teams can switch their game plans up and what they do. Some teams are versatile like that, so being able to switch as they switch their game in the middle of the game. So like first half they might be doing different stuff, then the second half I'll come out and be able to adjust to whatever they've been doing. So I think that separates me from other players.
And that's a great trait heading into college ball for sure, where the game speed's a lot faster. So if you already have a good feel for the instincts and the strategy of the game, that'll make it easier. But we'll talk about your college and your future here in a little bit. I'm going to pass it back to Simon, who has some questions, and kind of going to ask you what it's like, compare a little bit of Washington football to Colorado football and the like of that. So Simon, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, for sure. So we wanted to hear a little bit more about, I guess, your transfer / moving story, So we want to, really know your story, right? How, I guess, different it was moving from Washington to Colorado. Well, first things first, if it's not too personal, but if we may ask, how come y'all moved from Washington back to Colorado? I know you did say you are originally from Littleton, but I just wanted to ask you that real quick.
Well, honestly, high school football was gonna happen in Colorado, like before I moved out. Like it was just planned to happen at its regular start date, and Washington pushed it back to spring. And like for recruiting purposes, like because I felt I wanted to play at the next level, and I felt I could play at a D1 level myself. So I felt if I played in spring, like the rosters would be pretty full by then.
Right.
On D1 rosters especially. So I moved out here because they're supposed to still have football in the fall, which they did end up having it. It was a shorter season, but they ended up having it. So that was a big decision. Like my mom and sister wanted to move out like when I graduated, regardless. So this just like pushed it up a little sooner. So I went out in July, just me, and I lived with my uncle, and then my mom and sister just moved out in January when I came back from visiting for winter break.
Okay, I got you, man. All right, well then that makes a lot more sense here then. Not gonna lie, for a minute there, I almost forgot that Washington was one of the first ones to cancel their season, so that's probably why it slipped my mind. But no, I mean I totally get that, and we understand that as well, especially because it is your senior year, so it definitely means quite a bit. But with that being said, how has moving and having to transition and all of that, how has that affected, your ball playing this last season and whatnot? Because altogether, COVID in general obviously affected a lot of people's seasons and the way they played, because that just meant less prep time. Well, maybe not less prep time for some athletes individually, but less prep time for teams and, getting to know each other, especially like chemistry. That's always a big issue and whatnot. But I guess how has COVID and all that and moving affected football for you?
Actually, the COVID that probably affected it a lot because seniors from in college, they get it. Well, everyone gets another year eligibility in college, so the seniors are most likely staying unless they're going to be obvious draft picks, and they know they're getting drafted, so they're staying. So rosters are pretty full from that, and then not being able to have like a full season. Like I would have been in Washington still, which means there would have been no like transfer restrictions or anything, so I would have been able to play as many games as we would have played regardless there. And I feel like that team was pretty good. We could have went pretty far. I mean, Cherokee Trail was pretty good, but like if I did end up coming here, which I don't see why I would have, but I feel like definitely would have had more film and just play with my friends I grew up with in Seattle and Federal Way area. And then the move to Colorado, how it affected my ball, it really, I think it helped me actually, if anything, because as soon as I got here, I was just trying to adjust to the altitude.
Yeah.
So I was working out a lot and going on the bikes and just running around my apartment complex where my uncle lived, and just basically working out a lot and watching a lot of film study stuff. Before I moved out here, I thought I was going to go to Eagle Crest, so I looked at their roster, reached out to Shea Oladipo, and then he got me onto this trainer, Coach Thomas, Greg Thomas. He's a great trainer. So I started training with him, so that kind of helped me occupy some time because I didn't really know anyone yet, so got to train there, meet some people, and the training was with some pretty high class guys in Colorado. Caden Dudley, Anthony Costanzo, Langston Williams, a lot of guys like that. Luke McAllister. It was some great guys. So I got to play with the best talent in Colorado, really, there before I actually got into the season. So I kind of got to see what Colorado had to offer. So that definitely helped me get prepared.
Okay, I got you. Well, first things first, before we move on, I like that you did reach out, because I think that's something that a lot of kiddos, when they move or when they're just put in a new situation, they kind of fail to do. They fail to be a little bit more assertive, and that's good that you did that, because it did give you a lot more experience, so you weren't just like a fish out of the water. And so that's good. That's something that a lot of college coaches are looking for, and it sets you apart from others. So just wanted to throw that out there, just so you know. But That being said, so you did move here from Washington to Colorado. Look, I get adjusting to the altitude and all that. I moved from Texas to Colorado, and so obviously there are differences in levels of play football wise, but that altitude, it sucks.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest with you, because you know how it is. You got all your athleticism, you could still run, you got your hops, strength, all that great stuff, but then you just feel like you're getting held back by something dumb. So
Yeah.
I get it. I get it for sure. But with that being said, how does, and feel free to be as honest as possible, but how does Washington football compared to Colorado football? Obviously, we know it was a COVID year, and maybe you didn't get as much experience as you would any other year. But could you tell us how it was different or the same, or in your opinion, or even if you want to say this as well, you don't have to. But which state has better high school football?
Well, Washington has better high school football. I
Yeah.
think that's because like football, I feel like it's taken a little more seriously, like with more kids. Like it's more of a primary sport for kids in Washington than it is here. And I feel like just like we have training for 7-on-7 and 5v5 for linemen at places like Air and FSP, and those are like top tier programs in the country for 7-on-7, and they have some great trainers, like professional trainers, people that played in the pros and stuff like that. So I think that definitely helps like the top tier guys be even more top tier, like on a national level. And then like they're kind of similar though, because there's a lot of under recruited guys in both states. Like there's some guys out here that are great, like Jackson Muma. I listened to some of your podcasts and the Playmakers for 21. Jackson Muma, I don't know how he doesn't have a D1 offer. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of talent in both states that go very unnoticed. Corey Quinn, I feel like he's been doing the stuff that he did in his junior film. He did the same stuff sophomore year. So and he's small, but he's got some like center of gravity that he's hard to take down. I've seen it myself, like maybe in his film, like certain things not shown, but there's a lot of players like that, like out here and out there, like where you see size, like they're smaller, but I feel like he could play definitely at least at the FCS level, or maybe even FBS.
Yeah.
He got me as good as I am with guarding slots because he's so quick and fast. That's who I went against at the field probably 2 years. Like once I transferred into Federal Way my sophomore year, like that's who I was going against for 2 years before I came out here. So
Right.
really helped my development. And I wasn't very good sophomore year, so him and my other friends worked with me because that was my transition into taking football seriously.
Yeah. No, for sure, man. I totally get that. He's definitely a talent. And, for the record, I'd probably have to say that Washington football is definitely better than Colorado football, And I could say that because I'm from the state with the best.
Sam Heward, I went against like his whole receiving core. Like I don't know if
Yeah.
you know, they have 3- and 4-star receivers. Their line is huge. I actually picked Sam off in the playoffs my junior year. On the goal line. I don't know if you know those were the receivers ran across and me and the corner switched.
Ooh, there you go. Yeah. I'm familiar with a couple of them actually. I probably know, and this isn't a slight to Cody at all, but I probably know like nationally high school football programs and hotspots a little bit better just because I've been keeping my eye out on that. So no, I for sure get that for sure. So all right then. Well, all that being said, we kind of talked a little bit about your game. I'd probably say, I'd have to agree with a lot of the things Cody said here. I guess one other thing is that, you could kind of tell that you were thrown in there and it was kind of a COVID year because there were definitely a couple of times where I feel like there are some plays that you were right there and you probably could have made it if you just flipped your hips or, if you were just a second quicker with it. But you still broke up the pass, like you said. And so, in my opinion, I think there were probably a couple of turnovers that you left on the field. But that's never a bad thing because at the end of the day, it's not like you allowed a pass. You still stopped it, It's just not a turnover. And so that's probably something I mean, I would say you could probably improve on it, but to be honest, just adjusting to your team and like everything going on, like it's a lot, and I understand that and I want to acknowledge that. And so I think in a program where you have a little bit more stability and you don't have as much on your as much on your mind or as much on your plate between moving and getting all this stuff done, you'll be able to settle in a little bit more and really hit your rhythm a little bit better like you would back in Washington. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Playing with the corners and defensive backs, I played with at my new school. Like they had like they had the physical abilities, but like they didn't have as much mental IQ of the game, as much of a mental IQ of the game as some of the guys I played with in Federal Way, because I had Jatavius McGee, he's going to San Diego State. The other corner, Ronald Davis, he's going to Eastern Washington. Damani Nelson is one of my friends who passed away, but he was a 3-star. He was about to get his first D1 offer. He was our nickel. And then Corey Quinn, he just has a good IQ. He played quarterback. So,
right.
Like those guys are like higher level, so it was a little easier to play, honestly.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I get that. Like I said, I moved from Texas to Colorado, and there's definitely a little bit of a gap communication-wise and scheme-wise, moving and whatnot, just because, not going to lie, it definitely helps that you have other guys who could help carry you as well, and you don't have to do as much or worry about as much. So it happens, that's just natural things that would happen whenever you're making that transition. So understandable. But with that being said, what are some things that you are going to make a point of working on this off season, or that you've already made a point of working on this off season?
Something that I've made a point of working on this off season is just working on like my off man coverage, because like primarily I'd play like press man, because like I'm good off the line, I'm physical, I can move with them, like when they're trying to release left or right, I don't fall for their fakes very easily. So I've been working on playing off coverage, like leverage to one side or the other, and then being able to break to the side where I'm not giving my leverage and making plays on the ball or the receiver, like being more physical with that, ripping it out, punching it out, whatever I got to do. And double moves. I'm working on double moves a lot. I'm pretty good at that already, but that's something that receivers only get better with at the next level. So that's something I've definitely been working on.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, then. Well, that being said, we kind of talked about your present and your game here a little bit more. Let's talk about your future. So, Cody, why don't you go ahead and, ask Elijah about his future and all that stuff moving forward.
Yeah, so kind of moving to the future and talking about go back to football. Just how has the recruiting journey been for you? And then what are some things that you wish you knew about recruiting before being in the process? So, I mean, like you obviously said, COVID threw a huge wrench in it, and then you had a shortened season because of the transfer process and COVID already. And, I definitely think that if you had more film your senior year, that, you would have had scholarships at the D1 level. So, and I'm pretty sure I vocalized that in the breakdown, but
some things I wish I knew before, like earlier on in recruiting, was running track. Like I feel like if I could have got some track times in there for maybe 100 meters or something, that could have helped, because I've seen some guys that I feel like on the field I'm definitely better than, but they're really fast, and the track times, like those are official times that you have, and you can see that's where your real speed shows. And I was actually going to do that junior year at Federal Way, but then COVID hit, and then I just kind of was like, man, or I couldn't do it obviously anyways, but like it was upsetting that I couldn't do that. So I was kind of like, man, I wish I would have done this like sophomore year. But I also played baseball sophomore year. That's the reason I didn't do track. So yeah, I wish I would have done that sooner. I wish I would have started literally, like I played in 5th grade, but I never got in the game. I was a defensive end, and I was not big at all. So that was the only year I played. I didn't like football after that for a couple of years. So I wish I would have played like all of Little League and gotten like more experience like with tackling and stuff like that, because then I feel like I definitely would have been recruited higher. And I wish I would have been training. And just like if I would have known football would be my primary sport, I would have been training for it. Like how I trained for baseball, because I did like select teams and stuff, travel teams like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish I would have done that for football, because when I started I was pretty bad, but then like in one off season, like my friends just worked with me. I wanted to work hard. I wanted to be good. So then I got pretty good in one off season. So I feel like if I had definitely started a lot earlier, I could have been even better.
Yeah, and that's something that just comes with it. But, like we've talked about, your athleticism and speed, and also playing other sports a little bit helps to a degree. At least you weren't like completely from one place to another. There are some transferable skills, but yeah, starting earlier always helps. And yeah, but like you said, 5th grade, you said you played DN, didn't play too much, you're too small. Like, obviously your younger experiences also impact your later experiences. So just pointing that out to our younger listeners, that like, just because you have like a bad early experience of a sport doesn't mean that the sport's evil forever, So you could be like Elijah here, who played football in 5th grade and is now looking to walk on at CSU, correct? You just recently announced that, actually, so congratulations on that commitment. And that actually takes me to this next question here. What are some things that you prioritize from school or a program, and how does CSU fulfill those needs?
What I saw from CSU was like it's in Fort Collins, and like I've talked to people like just about, because I didn't know too much about it coming in, but I just know their stadium is nice and their facilities look really nice, and the campus overall looks beautiful. But I get to stay with my family, close to my mom and sister, and like I have a lot of uncles out here and an aunt, so I get to stay pretty close to them. And then I heard like the Fort Collins is like the fan base is really good. They really support CSU. I've actually had like some CSU like fan pages, or like just fans of CSU alumni like follow me and stuff. I don't know, it feels pretty cool just like seeing how the hometown really backs their college football team. So I really feel like I can make it at home, and seeing how the alumni still even like care about it and like really back up their team, like just like that's something that I can do like once I graduate and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And yeah, that brand new stadium, UNC, which is Simon and I's alma mater, was supposed to start off the whole Ed McCaffrey era this past fall there, but COVID pushed everything around, reshuffled it, but it is a pretty nice stadium, so that is something to consider.
I was trying to originally go there, but none of the coaches hit me back, and CSU did, so that was going to be my first choice, because it was a little smaller but still D1.
Well, Simon and I do have question marks for the Bears recruiting class that we've vocalized quite a few times, so
yeah,
I'm
that's
not
a big miss. I'm going to be honest with you. We could say it because we're not affiliated with Northern Colorado, and we already got our degrees, but that's kind of a big miss. I'm gonna be honest with you. And
yeah.
you're not the first one. You've had a couple of big misses, so that's a shame. We would have loved to watch you over at Northern Colorado, to be honest with you.
We'd love to have more reasons to root for the Bears, but we might just have to root for the Rams next time they play. But anyways, talking about outlook here, your high school football career is over, and now you're committed to CSU. What are some of your goals for CSU? I'd assume probably something along the lines of maybe getting like a scholarship of some kind eventually, or getting some playing time. But what is your hopes for college football?
College football, my hopes are once I get on the field and they can see me in person. Actually, I can't start this fall because the rosters are full with all the returners and the actual kids on scholarship, so I'll start next spring. So my goals basically for my first semester are to keep my grades up, like adjust to the college life, keep my grades up, probably get a job, and work out a lot, condition a lot, train a lot, so I can be ready. Because I feel like once I can step on the field, like I've looked at some of their other recruits, like for the 21 class, and I feel like I'm at my position, or defensive back. I feel like I'm definitely at that level that some of those other guys are at. So I feel I can definitely earn a spot and get a lot of playing time, maybe like within my second year, because I just trust my own ability, and not just like physically but mentally, like with the game. I feel like I can really impress some coaches once I get a chance.
Absolutely. It's good to have that confidence and heading in there and go and grab that spot. But of course, you have your mind right with that first semester, man. Like, as someone who graduated college, try and set that GPA high in that first semester when like you maybe don't have as much to do, so that because it's hard to come back from a low GPA versus it's a lot easier to maintain a higher GPA.
Yeah, and
Simon knows more about that as cum laude. I just barely missed, but definitely you have your head in the right place as far as adjusting to that college life, and we talk about it basically on every episode that we usually recommend, like a red shirt or something to get used to it. And you're basically being afforded that. So, I like that you're taking advantage of that and you're in the right spot for it. And then we're almost at the end here. I'm just going to ask one more, and then we'll give you some time at the end to shout out anyone important to your career. But before we get to that, what is some advice you would give to high school athletes making their way through high school and who aspire to go to the next level?
All right. First, I'd like to say, just because you're not like some of these other guys who are getting Alabama and Clemson offers their sophomore and freshman year, and even if you're not like playing varsity or freshman, sophomore year, or even junior year, like just keep working, because one season, I basically played like one season, like with all my games combined, like a state championship run type season, like basically the length of games I've played, and like you can show like a lot in one season and earn that offer, or you can walk on, earn the I can't think of the word. You have the ability to play at the next level. You just have to believe in yourself and find people who believe in you to work with you. And you can work with them, because that's what I did. I have my friends. They'd make fun of me a lot. Like, it's normal friend stuff. Like, they make a good play on me and stuff like that. But they also worked with me a lot so that I could get better. Then we just made each other better from there. So find people like that that'll make you better and are focused on the right things. And then bet on yourself. No matter what anyone else is saying, I've had people come to my lunch table and be like, "Oh, what's up with all the D1 athletes? Oh, hey, Elijah." It was like stuff like that. So that kind of just motivated me to prove them wrong.
Yeah, I like that chip on the shoulder, and you can see it reflected just in like your attitude towards the game and towards life, and it's going to take you quite a ways as long as you let it. So letting it be a motivator and not a demotivator is huge, and having that right mentality. And a lot of guys have talked about surrounding yourself with the right teammates and stuff. I know that a lot of we have a couple of interviews with some of those Cherry Creek kids. And, they all had a mission, they all had a goal, and it was to be good at football and to go to the next level. And that's why, almost their whole roster is going at least D1 or D2. Yeah. So, there's definitely something about hanging around like-minded people. We're also going to release an interview of Anthony Tocchini, who talks about that. So, lots of good advice there. And, you see plenty of one-year guys who make a difference. So I like that advice as well. So thank you for sharing all that. And I'll pass it to Simon here as far as, letting you do some shout-outs and then kind of wrapping us up.
Yeah. First things first, man. I think we all think you're a heck of a talent. Obviously you went under our radar because I think you still have that you're from Federal Way on your huddle, and so I think that kind of tripped us up a little bit when we were doing our research and whatnot. But you definitely one of the best in the state. Love your mentality, and I think you're a really smart dude in general too, and those are invaluable. You got some guys who they're I'll be honest with you, they're your stereotypical dumb jock. They know what they're supposed to do when they're outside of football, and that's a problem because football doesn't last forever. So that's a good thing. You got your mind right. Honestly, we wish you all the best of luck at CSU. I'm really disappointed that Northern Colorado didn't give you anything, because you'd be up there. And this isn't a slight at any of those guys. We know a couple of the players and the talent they bring in, but you definitely had you would have had a good shot over there. But it is what it is. I think you're in a good spot with CSU. I'd have to agree that there are some guys who are offered who you might be just as good as, but at this point, you just gotta continue to stay on that grind. Make the right decisions, make the smart decisions that you have been doing, so forth, and you'll be all right. So, just wanted to say all that, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, no problem. But that being said, we are kind of winding this thing down here. So, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to that has been important to your academic or athletic career? Who'd you like to thank on the show? This could be like friends, family, coaches, and then teammates. You've shouted out a couple of teammates as well. So, but yeah, go for it. Take as long as you want if you need to.
First, I'd like to start with my mom because she really stayed on me about keeping at least a 3.0 GPA like each semester. Then my grandparents, because they always were like, "We'll be proud of you for sports, but we'll definitely be more proud of your grades, because that could take you further in life than sports, because sports ends at some point in your life." And then my friends, Corey, Jatavius, Ronald, and Damani, rest in peace. Them, because they just worked with me, especially Corey and Jatavius. Oh, Jaden McWilliams too. That's my other friend. He's a lineman going to UW. So my friend group's pretty good. But yeah, them, because they always worked with me. They'd go to like the after school study halls with me. We'd all go do that stuff together to keep our grades up. And then we'd go to the field after. Like, that was an everyday thing. Like when we were actually in school. Then even now, when Corona started, we'd just hit the field, even though we were supposed to stay home. We'd go hit the field. Just us though, like to keep any type of spread, but just always being there, having my back, and like building like more than a friendship with just on the field. Like we have it outside of the field, and we always have each other's backs, no matter how much we argue or whatever. So shout out to them. Shout out to pretty much any coach that I've had that's believed in me, specifically right now. Greg Thomas, the one who trained me when I first came out here, and John Marine, that was the sevens team I played for when I came out here. They're called Team Full Gorilla.
Yeah.
Good 7-on-7 team.
Yeah.
They actually just won a tournament in Kansas City, I think.
Yeah, they did. They actually follow us. A lot of their players, we've done breakdowns on and we've interviewed, and so we're very familiar with that squad over there. So that's good to hear that you were able to link up with them and do your thing.
Yeah, they're great.
So yeah. All right, man. Well, hey, first things first, or I guess not first things first because we're wrapping up here. But lastly, I gotta ask you, are you interested in coaching sometime whenever football is all done, or what are you thinking about that? I know it's a while from now, but would you be interested in becoming a coach?
Yes, that's actually something that I really wanted to do. Like, if I'm not like actually coaching, like I don't know how much I actually want to do that, but I at least want to train kids like outside their high school programs, especially kids that like their high school program like doesn't have like as advanced like coaches at their position, like just be able to give like different points of view, like mental side, more of a mental side to the game, like other than just their schemes, like learn other schemes. Playing at different schools has helped me, in different 7-on-7 teams has helped me with like my ability to play different defensive schemes. So yeah, I want to at least train kids at defensive back.
All right, I got you. Well, I think you'd be an excellent coach. I just felt like I wanted to bring that up because there are a lot of players that we've interviewed, and you could tell which ones would be great coaches and whatnot. And I think you'd be one of those. So, either way, man.
Go ahead. I'm actually training the younger DBs at my school right now.
Ooh.
Training them to get more of a mental side of the game and better footwork, like basically the medical stuff that is hard to learn, like with. No offense to the DB coaches, but like they're just not. They know this stuff, but there's not enough time like in a certain individual practice like to get all the stuff in. So like they're good DB coaches at my school, but like just extra stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, feel free to drop those names and the names of your buddies too, and we could do some breakdowns and show them some love. I know we have a couple of them right now. I just don't think we have all of them, but feel free to do that. All right, man.
Yep.
All right,
I'll
bet.
drop that in your DM.
Bet. All right. Well, we appreciate all of the support and taking the time out to talk to us, man. We wish you all of the best of luck here. That'll wrap up this episode of the Playmakers Corner podcast. Make sure to check us out on all of our social medias. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok as well for all of the latest updates and breakdowns of players. And remember, if you want to request a player, make sure you leave the name, position, where they're from, what school they're from, and then if possible, we'd love if you could leave the link to their film, because it definitely cuts down the time looking up these guys, because we reaching out to a couple different states nowadays. But appreciate y'all rocking
this film, and it was so easy to watch. So
exactly.
Be like Elijah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll probably do an episode about how to get your film together, because that's becoming more of a problem the more we look at film, which you'd think wouldn't be. But whatever. Anyways, make sure to check all of that out. And then if you're listening to us, which you probably are, go ahead and give us a good rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that great stuff. And, check out our YouTube channel as well. We're going to start posting a lot more videos, probably just catch up on breakdowns and stuff from there, so that, we could have some extended breakdowns and videos and highlights shown there. So, yeah, but thanks for rocking with us.